Oh, okay. Sup, guys? I got a new microphone. I've been trying so hard to make this thing work for goddamn hours. I finally got it to work. This son of a bitch is going to be much better than my normal ones. Should I hear myself? Headphones on or off? Doesn't matter. I think I'll keep them on so I can know my volume. Ba, 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 ba. Such musical moxie, I'm so foxy and I want to be. If you guys know that one, I'll give you a hint. It's Fangle. Those guys are great. If you don't know who they are, you missed it. Now, this is my third time trying to get this goddamn freaking asshole what if done. Let's hope this works this time, huh? Editor, I got a new editor, right? I promise I'll make better ones, and I'm going to be faster this time, and I'm going to be doing these way more. I was taking a break this weekend, so sorry about that. Alright, end of the show. Jesus. Demon. Oh. We start off with Deku having his crest of the snake now being branded into his chest with an iron cow. Is taking up his whole chest, which is covered with scars. He was asleep while being branded. Not a fun experience, as you can imagine. He wakes up to the pain searing onto his chest, then starts to freak out and squirm all around. Arthur, his father, held him down, finishing the branding, with Deku screaming once it was all over. What the fuck was that? What? What do you mean, what? You just tried to brand me. What the hell? I didn't try. I succeeded. I needed to do it for your well-being and sleep. And, well, during your sleep. So you would not interrupt it immediately. Okay, fine, whatever. What does it even represent? Anyways. It's your emblem. It represents what type of fighter you are. What are you fighting for? And how you fight. You're all determined. So basically a slave brand. If you want to be crude, I guess you could say it that way. Well, thanks, Dad. Now I gotta freaking... Now I'm gonna die for your cause or whatever the fuck it is. Which, by the way, you still haven't told me shit about. Arthur stops Deku and says, "You're not going to die for me. I don't care what you do with your life. I'm not here to tell you how to live it. I'm just trying to save it." Deku, seeing this is quite a serious moment for him, he calms himself down. He asks, "Well, it's about time that you actually explain what is going on, Dad, if that's who you really are." Looking at Arthur suspiciously, Arthur responds, "Fine, what do you want to know?" "Oh, I don't know. How about we start out with the fuck is happening?" "Fine, I guess I owe you that much. Before I tell you this, you must swear to never tell another soul." "Fine, I earn this much." Arthur nods, saying, Fine. It's your brothers and sisters that I've been preparing you for, to fight each and every one of them." "I'm sorry, my son. goes on. Son, I'm trying. I've been trying to prepare yourself for your brothers and sisters as they will try to recruit you to being a mercenary, as they are. They have formed a group called the Brotherhood. Well, they have an unknown name, but they're all mercenaries, recruiting for the worst villains and selling for the highest price. But I don't want to be a mercenary, Deku says. Arthur snaps back, saying, that would be fine if I didn't already tell you all about this. I'm sorry. I've taught them well. Too well, in fact. I taught them that you never let anybody know about it. And if they know, they're a liability. And I taught them that liabilities need to be checked, executed, and confirmed dead. Every child I've ever had after those 8 has either died or been recruited to their cause. But I saw you as a chance. Even though you had no quirk, I could see something in you. I guess I was right. You had the best score out of all of them. So I believe that if any of my children could survive it, it would be you. Maybe, just maybe, you could bring something of normalcy to my children. If you can't, please bring them rest. I was afraid, though, if I told you that you would have gotten scared like some of my other children and ran away and then just died to them. I just want to have a normal son and be a father for once. But instead I had to curse you. I'm sorry. In a rare moment of self-pity that he had never seen before in his father, this reminds him how he's not been able to live his own life. 5 years of life that were just stripped away from him. They both start to feel bad. For each other, too. But in that moment, they also wanted to encourage each other. As father and son, they started telling old war stories, grand battles that they both found interesting, and probably were in, but they just never saw each other. They spread jokes that they have heard in the regiments, and they gathered from their many, many, many years of combat experience. Throughout the night, they laughed, sang songs that they had learned for ballads. All was well in all 3 of the sections of his house. The kimono section, the basement berserker section, and the royal halls that rung with bell chimes in the morning. Deku was starting to get tired. Before going to bed, there started to be creaking on the roof. Some glass started to shatter. Just slightly. Arthur whispered to Deku, "Run. Do as I told you before." Deku slips to the cellar, silently but barely creaking open the window of it. The windows start to shatter as smoke bombs are released into the halls. Arrows are shot all over the walls and breaking most of the paintings and pictures that he had from before. Battle axes, swords, spears, you name it, everything seemed to just barricade itself in on him. It was like the whole room had just collapsed in on himself and his father. He had just barely made it into the cellar, but he didn't know if his father did. But all he could remember was what he had told him what to do and when this would happen. He starts to pack up all of the weapons and ancient armor that he could find in the training room. He throws them all into a leather suitcase that he was told to throw into the river. He does as he remembers and packing up everything that he could see. He starts digging into the ground. He had found his dad's shock trooper shovel that his father had used throughout the wars. He had almost 113 confirmed kills with his shovel, just by himself and a regiment of men that he trusted deeply. His father wouldn't have it any other way. His heart races as he's shoveling deeper and deeper and deeper, and then finally he cracks into the other side. He drags the suitcase with him down with all the antique weapons and armor along with him. It's so physically demanding that his arms are almost atrophied once he makes it out, but he makes it, pulling it through the outside into the cold winter snow. He was barefoot, so this he had to cover his scream. As he was walking out into the cold December woods, he heard his father scream. He had to ignore it. He had to trust his father as a strong warrior. He trudges on forward through the snowy woods. He didn't remember it being winter, but he couldn't think about it now, as he had felt a sudden snap. Even though he was deep into thought, looking out into the deep woods, a sharp arrow comes and hits the tree next to him. Him dodging it, of course, but still shocks him. He uses the trees to boost his speed, but then a berserker gets in his way. Throwing an at him, he grabs it out of the air, throwing it back, cleaving in the berserker in the leg. But the berserker kept on moving, even though he was cleaved, running with him. But he was faster. But the berserker was blind with rage, taking out the cleaved leg axe and throwing it at him. This time it hit him in the back, opening a huge gash in his right arm. Falling down a snowy cliff, he gets up on the other side. The berserker falling down the cliff, straight at him, jumping. He had acted to be shocked, as he had already thrown two shurikens, one huge one at his neck, cutting it clean off. As the body of the berserker falls to the floor, his axe falling to him. He had thought about using the axe, but he had to use something light so he could keep on running. As he had heard his friends behind him, he looked and saw a black splotch almost moving through the snow at blazing speed. A wolf. Napoleon. Big sister. Shit. He keeps on moving, making sure to use everything to his advantage. Rocks, anything, to boost his speed. Pretty soon he was almost out of energy, but thankfully he had his techniques that his dad had taught him. His master had taught him. Long-range running, allowing yourself to Naruto run. It's actually real-world physics that keep you going for longer modes of transportation. Getting out into a clearing, he knew this could be a trap, but trusting his instincts, he takes it anyways. Dodging through the field, dodging multiple arrows, but one hits him in the left arm. He has to go through the pain, but he has to just keep on going. And he runs all the way through the night, battling his brothers and sisters along the way. He couldn't kill any of them because of his injuries, but he just made his way throughout. Thank God he's a shinobi. Who knows what the fuck he would do if he was anything else. After 3 miles of running and pure carnage, lugging around that suitcase was pretty hard. But at the end of it, he gets to the end of the river. Finally, he says. Safe haven. The thick of the woods, like my father told me to go to. There was this old man that had told him that it was the only safe spot for him. So he hunkered down, setting up traps just in case they came after him, but they didn't for days. Staking it out and creating food for himself by the river. But he'd let the river would allow them to be led here to in the first place. But it was terrifying for him each day, thinking that they could come at him. But if they knew that, they could track him here anyways with his foot tracks. But it seems that they had simply lost it. Good. Soon I may be able to return back to society. I hope my dad's okay, he thought while he was killing a rabbit with one of his shurikens, skinning it and roasting it for sustenance. He remembers a quote old his old master would tell him. Each kill should be respected. In death there shall be honor. She was a great master. She used to say that all the time. He remembers back to the good days of his fighting, the 2 wars that he had spent all of his 35 years of life in. It wasn't anything. What he surviving on the wilderness wasn't shit compared to the fighting he did back then. But you know what? Yeah. How about a little adventure? He continues on going throughout the woods into different biomes and, parts of the ecosystem, earning some money from the people that lived out in the wilderness. They found him curious and never stopped to ask him where he came from. He just continued on. And pretty soon, him going from hiker to hiker, village to village, days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. Before you knew it, it was almost 5 years he had been running away from his brothers and sisters. I will be going back in a next What If, maybe. I don't know. You never know. You know. But yeah, I will be going back and describing some of the battles that they have. But just know that he goes through a lot of shit, lugging around this luggage. It's a big hindrance on him, especially because of he purposely keeps himself in a small patch. But yeah. So basically, he just survives 5 years of battles with Apollyon, his decree of his brothers and sisters. He kept himself low throughout the battles and stuff, and finally, it seems that they had let up. He wanted to return to the city, but he feared them. He thought that this moment of peace was possibly because they were on the move. He would talk to mountain hikers around the city of Manashumura. I forget whatever city UA is in, but yeah. They would talk about huge infrastructure buildings, just huge civilization. People gathered for miles in this one dense small spot just to buy stuff. He was fascinated. So he decided to go into the city for once. He found it, right? I mean, he now trusts himself enough on the inside and his own personal abilities. And also he's gotten used to communicating with people, although he doesn't know social skills. That'll be fun. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so he heads in on the city, and when he's going into the city, he finds all these metros and technologies that he's never seen before. Crossbows weren't a thing anymore. I mean, there was guns even, crime, everything. It hit him a lot. It hit him hard. But there was also good things. But to the good people of the city, he felt abnormal compared to them. Especially because the luggage. I mean, they saw him as weird. Because he must have a strength quirk or something, holding around all those armors and stuff. He's found the multiple temples and returned these armors to them, but not all of them. He's still looking around some of the biggest ones, actually. And he usually finds out how to hide them by now. He's used to that. Probably in a trash can now in the city, but he has to learn. Going throughout the city, he sees plenty of people staring at him, but he doesn't get social. He doesn't get something as simple as don't go into back streets. He's taking all of the back streets. And pretty soon he, walks upon some minor league thugs. One holding a bat and 2 others behind him, maybe just holding maybe some knives or something. He's like, hey, aren't you one of those mercenaries? Some of the Brotherhood, Creed. You're supposed to be at the, what was it, USJ attack? Don't you think you're missing something, friend? And he's like, how'd you know? The emblem on your armor over there. He's like, slightly covering him. Interesting. I'm guessing that you know them? Personal friends. We, did some jobs together before. They're quite the impressive bunch. I don't remember you, though. You better get to moving, you know? His buddies giggle behind him. So you're telling me that my creed are in the USJ right now? He doesn't know what the USJ is right now. He's bluffing. Yeah, that's what I said. You don't. Do you know them? Of course I do. But you do. And that's a problem. Walking towards him, they start to get threatened a little. They're like, hey, we're friends, remember? You're part of the creed, right? He's like, fool, you're just another street thug. Crushing. He grabs one of the guy's necks, the bat guy. He grabs him by the neck, holding him around, and then bringing him around, like flipping his body over so that his face is like looking up towards the others. And that guy, he takes out his switchblade and like tries to stab him, but then he throws the guy to the ground and uses his body's weight to get to like throw himself up, and then he kicks the shit out of that one guy that tried to stab at him, and he like falls straight to the ground, like bloody face and stuff. And the other one is still reacting, like, what the fuck? He draws the gun, and as he comes down, he just crushes in the guy's face, like completely smashing his face in the guy on the ground. And the guy that just drew the gun, he takes out his sickle and throws it, just huge, using a huge gash, just splitting his arm open. And he had the gun. He like splits in half. And he takes back the sickle, and the guy on the ground is still like trying to crawl away. And he's like, "Where do you think you're going?" He's like, "Ah." He just like brings him back. He's like trying to crawl away. He's just bringing him back, and then double cutting off his head, decapitating him right in the front of the street. Like, where do you think you're going? So yeah, after that he's like, another successful job. So, oh, I forgot to ask for directions. Shit. Like, so he doesn't even know where the USJ attack is. So he's just guessing until he sees the building with the huge like H on it. I mean, yeah, the U on it. So he starts like kind of like walking towards there, and he hears the fighting. Like he can hear it in the back of his head. And he's like, that way. Really? So he starts walking towards that direction. Not the fighting. Like he has a general sense of direction. And he gets to like the USJ. He's like looking up at it, and then suddenly he feels deja vu. Oh no! Shundere gets fucking just body slammed by Shigoki and crushed through like into the wall, which like damages it, and he almost gets his back broken. But luckily enough, he had heard him say that, so he had prepared his back so he wouldn't break instantly like a fucking twig, and he had slipped out from under him, and he was like, that was a close one. He was all like on the ground behind him, and the Shigoki's dazed because he just like rammed himself into the freaking wall. And he looks back at Shigoki, readies up like 2 shurikens, but then the Shigoki just flips it around his like a heavy attack, and it's an unblockable, of course, but Deku is ready for that shit. Even though he's pretty stunned right now, he's ready for that shit. He perfectly deflects it, jabbing his sickle into the right arm of the Shugoki. And he's like, "Big brother, didn't know you were gonna be here." And then like brings up the other sickle, but then he gets headbutt in the back, and he gets thrown against the freaking wall by being headbutt. And he's like, "Nice to meet you, little bro." And he like takes up his club, and he has like a demon mask, and he's like one of the strongest ones in the thing, and he's like the biggest kid, one of the siblings of the Creed. He's the biggest dude, except for Lawbreaker. That's a pretty cool one. He's a pretty cool one because he steals the luggage, and that's pretty fun. When I get to that, that's gonna be pretty cool. Stay tuned for that. I'm actually really happy for that part. Trust me, it's gonna be awesome. Now, where was I? Oh yeah. So basically, he got headbutted in the corner, and he's like bleeding from the head. And he's like, "Shit." And he had like, he has like a demon mask on, like the freaking Shigoki. So it's really fucking with his head. And freaking Apollion's like, Apollyon has Valkyries with her, like 3 Valkyries that she had recruited from the other kids. A lot of Valkyries. And one of them had thrown their spear at him, and it speared into the wall behind him, which cracked the wall even more. And he's like, "Oh, shit." And he sees Apollyon, he's like, "Oh, shit." There's like Kensei, and there's Warden right next to her. Maybe Raider, I don't know. The guy that like, I think he killed him actually. Yeah, he did. So, yeah, they're all staring at him and shit, and they're like, "This is your death sentence." And he's like, "It was a trap, huh?" Trap? No. This is no trap. I wouldn't go so low to kill you. It's been 5 years, hasn't it? Come on, make this fun. He gets up, all dazed and shit, gets the spear thrown at him, takes it out of the wall and gets ready for Shigoki. And Shigoki like cancels his charge and then like brings his club up for a huge downward smash, but then Deku grabs onto the bottom of it, grabs onto his hands, and like breaks his hand. And he like snakes his legs around the club so that it like he stays on, throwing the club up in the air while breaking his arm, the Shigoki's arm, and then bring it all the way down, and it's like still floating in the air, right? And he goes behind Shigoki, bringing out the chains from his sickle, like getting him into a choking position. And he looks up, and there's his club coming right back down and crushing his head. And this it straight up just eviscerated his skull. I mean, there's like bits of brain, like kind of like leaking off the side of his freaking face. Oh, it's a horrible scene. And his Farsight takes his kind of like mask thing and throws it to the side for later. I'll tell you why. And then he looks back at the Valkyries and he's like, "Come on." So all 3 of the Valkyries, Apollyon's like, "No!" But they're all like antsy and stuff. They want to kill him by this point. It's been 4 years. And one of the Valkyries does that little like shield bash thing where they punch, and he dodges it, but then she punches him. Another one punches him, and they all basically punch him at the same time, like coordinated so that he wouldn't be able to dodge it. And they all punch him into the wall, smashing through the wall into the USJ. As Aizawa is about to like go off and fight the villains, he comes rolling in, and the fucking Valkyries, they like walk in like all cool like, and Apollyon's just like, "We shouldn't be here. We're at risk. The other villains may be here, but I'll be damned if they actually pitch in. Whatever. Kill him." But one of the Valkyries gets antsy, right? Because they see Deku on the ground like all week. But Deku's kind of like faking it a little bit, even though he did get punched like the shit out of, and he's just shinobi, so he thimble limbs. Heavy attack takes half of my health. Like, fucking hell. Anyways, she comes straight at him. And, Warmonger's like, no, stop. And she, like, spikes her spear into the ground to, like, kill Deku. But he does this, like, weird, so he crushes one of his smoke bombs in his hand. And it ignites around him. And she misses him with that. And he trips out from under her. He, like, kicks her out from under her, grabbing her face, plowing her face into the ground. And that broke her legs because he kicked her so hard off the ground. Like, swept her legs, breaking both of them, grabbing her face out of the air, and then smashing her down into the dust. And there's so much dust and smoke that it, like, combines into, like, this weird smoke cloud that, like, lasts for a few seconds. But when it clears, there's her just, like, struggling on the ground as he's, like, on top of her. And it's just him choking the life out of her. And he's like, you're resistant to choking. Interesting quirk. That won't stop you this time. That won't save you. He grabs her jaw. He grabs her face. And you see, this is one of his things that he had inherited from Shigoki. He grabs her face, crushes her goddamn jaw off. Like, crushes it. And she's just left blood eviscerated. And he just... There's nothing else he has to do. She's just dead on the ground. And that counts as a new execution, kind of. Hey. You can use it. Honestly, that would be fucking amazing. If you can crush somebody else's fucking jaw on the ground. Oh my god, that would be so amazing. I should make a video on that. Later. Comments down below if you want me to do that, because I will. I will definitely. But yeah, but he does it. He does it in front of Aizawa and all the kids. So they're like, holy fuck. That dude just blew off that girl's, like, fucking jaw. And Aizawa's like, this kid about to get his ass whooped. Like, he's ready to fucking throw down. But then he... Anyways, yeah, I think that's gonna be the end of it. Yeah.